All right. Get this going to there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chat from the Deep, our weekly live stream post-session discussion. We talk about what just happened during D&D. This is the chat for session 46. So if you've not watched that session yet, please go do that because there will be spoilers. I'm your DM, Eric, and joining me, we have Max Player Raymond.
Hello.
Chris will hopefully be joining us soon. I don't know if he's taking a dump or what the hell he's doing. So this was a pretty big fight. That ended up taking. I mean, we were like I think a session or not a round into it. From last week, and then this took. We went what 30 or 40 minutes later than we usually go for a session. So fair to say this probably took a total of basically 2 full sessions for us to get through. How do you feel? It was a lot going on. I liked the fight setup, but I'm curious from your standpoint on just the fact that like you guys didn't take a whole lot of damage. I just realized.
I think that's just the power of the rolls, I think. Because, I mean, you targeted each of us.
Yeah, that's right.
But,
it's interesting that
most of the minions were like occupied either with the ballista or getting sucked into the water.
Yeah, the water thing was huge, and I think that's what made it more dynamic and interesting was that the environment, just having the ability to knock people off and having to worry about being in the water and out of the water and all that, and the fact that both of us could do it to each other, I think was made it interesting. But it does take a while when you have this many stat blocks, and I tried to cut it down by having each of those ballistic groups just basically be one initiative order, and then move from there.
I think that helped a lot. Yeah, because like they didn't have to. You didn't have to worry about them all acting individually.
Yeah, their whole group was just to do the ballista thing, and once you take enough of them out, they really can't operate the ballista. And I don't really plan on having them like do. Initially, if you guys had made it into the kill zone, then extra guys would be like leaping onto your ship and attacking while the ballistic groups were all attacking. But I don't think I even added any of those extra. Well, I guess a grouping of bandits from earlier. Like a lot of the ones that Heather killed last session basically would have been the ones like assaulting the ship via the just leaping on top of it. But
yeah,
without those groupings, it was just the dudes on the ballistas and the occasional like Minotaur and the ogre drummers. That one big gladiator guy, by the way, had like 130 hit points. The one that was
the dude that was in the water.
Yes, yeah, the guy that got knocked in the water early, the guy that knocked Mac off first, then you knocked him into the water, then he attacked Mac for a while, then he climbed back up, and then you knocked him off again. Yeah, I did do a lot of hit point fudging in this one because there's a lot of guys, and at some point it just feels good to take them out during certain moments, like rage.
I guess yeah, especially in this situation where like the boat's moving.
The boat's moving, and like once you figure out like guys aren't like really gonna threat, like the Minotaurs in the water, like. Unless there was one instant where like they could climb out on the boat and have Reese do something to that, like they're just not really an interesting combatant at that point. So I'm okay with kind of almost eliminating them. It's like the equivalent of a video game where like you get in the water and it acts as like a kill, like that just instantly destroys the.
Yeah, I mean I imagine almost very video game like where like you leave an area. And the enemies won't continue to chase you in the next area.
That's really what this is. And this whole setup was designed to be that concept where like you're in a moving vehicle and you just have to survive a number of rounds. And I think we basically went like the max number of rounds, although you guys also basically defeated just about everything on the map too. There was one more grouping when Ray went up the very end to that upper cliff. You notice it was very empty up there.
There was another section.
I had a whole nother grouping of ballista guys up there that I just did not use because we had just done enough, I think, at that point. And the last thing I needed was A, Ray run into another group of guys, and B, like why haven't that group been like firing at you in the last half of the session, basically once the ship started going up there. And I just realized, the balance wise, I think we've got enough groups set up to do stuff. So I ended up taking that one out. I was
there, but it would have slogged on even longer.
I think that's the other thing. Yeah, I'm very hyper aware of like how long it's being and how the general combat pacing is going. And that's, if you notice, a lot of things I was just skipping. Once we got about halfway, like the Minotaurs in the water and all that, I was just skipping their turn. Like they're done. They're just in the water floundering, like whatever. we're just getting through it. Yeah, the water elemental was pretty fun. I think I only got to use it once, and it failed and still knocked Savra down, but I don't think it ever actually attacked after that. You put it in the stupor, and then I think you knocked it down after that before it could go.
I put it in the stupor. No, it came out of it at the end of its turn.
Right. So it
And
lost
before
one turn.
Before its turn came around again, Savra teleported it to the
That's
top of
right.
the fire.
Savra teleported. Yeah. Yeah, so she basically kind of took it down because she teleported it and then it dropped down. And although it's got a swim speed, it doesn't have a climb speed. So once it's down in the water, it can't really do anything. So I just kind of had it, going around the water, and then the concentration broke. I was like, all right, with concentration broke, it's just a free elemental, so it doesn't have to, it doesn't fucking care.
It's
Yeah.
just gonna swim through the water and bye.
Right, which polymorph actually doesn't break concentration, but I kind of liked the whole chicken thing. So like, all right.
Oh, it doesn't?
It doesn't say it does.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So I would assume it doesn't, but
Canada
Man, how many
spell?
how many spells did she use
I know
in this whole fight?
a lot. It seemed like, yeah. And you guys are just now approaching like the final boss layer, which that was the point of this area, was to suck up those
I was
spells.
just at the end of the session. I was just thinking, I was like, we need a long rest just for a wizard.
I know.
I think she used everything she had.
Holy fuck, she's really low. She still has one 5th level spell slot.
Okay.
But she used all of her 4ths. Or no, I don't know if she used them this session, but
yeah, but over the last 2 sessions.
Oh, the last 2 sessions. Remember, she used 2 gravity wells like the last session.
Yeah.
She has no 3rd levels, no 4th levels, and then she has 1 1st level and 1 2nd level spell left.
Yeah.
So she's very
only
low on shit.
three spells.
I think she still has Arcane Recovery available.
Yeah.
So she can get some spell slots back. Yeah.
Limited to
Is
first
that
slot or
half our
second.
level? Yeah, I can't remember what the actual rules in Arcane Recovery are.
Let's see. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your wizard level rounded up, and none of the slots can be 6th level or higher.
Oh, she can get level 5 back then.
So she could get anywhere. Yeah, she could get a whole 5, or she could get like a 4 and a 1. I think it's whatever combination.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, she was definitely using a level, which I mean that's appropriate. Like that was the balance. Like she had to use a leveled spell every single turn.
I think her spells were pretty crucial to this.
Yeah,
because there was a lot of situations where just division of damage. Like me and Matt can target one character at a time. And you had like 4 dudes on a ballista. It's like,
right. There was that one moment where Matt pops up and shoots a guy.
Right, like you said, like, oh shit, it's gonna take way too long.
Which that was I fudged it. Those thugs, honestly, they have like 30 or 40 fucking hit points. So even though you do like 18 damage, I'm like, okay, yeah, you take some damage. And he did like 20 something. He still had some hit points left, and I was like, all right, he's dead. But yeah, you notice you took 2 shots, take down one guy. Like, fuck, this is gonna be tedious. Like, yeah, it's a group of guys.
Yeah, I don't think we could handle it any differently, but yeah, it was just such a big area.
Yeah.
And there was 4 of us, and we were all spreading our damage.
Yeah, I was shocked for as much as I enjoyed this combat from a tactical standpoint that I'm just now realizing you guys actually didn't take that much damage. So I'm curious about how much other than Mac, and unfortunately you weren't there for that, but that was the one big moment I had was the very beginning of the session. That one gladiator guy did like a shit ton of damage to you because he had 2 crits.
Yeah.
Like Gottwald took nothing. Toril
No,
took a little bit at the end with that ballista bolt.
We didn't take a lot of damage, but I think we used a lot of resources.
You did a lot of you did use a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And your ship took a lot of damage. That's the other interesting thing is it was like a escort mission, like Overwatch or something, where you're like moving it along, except it's got hit points.
And we did have to get like paranoid about that at the end.
I was legit keeping track of hit points, and I was 100% going to destroy your ship if it came down to that.
I guess you were. when you said like, oh, your ship's at 30%, I'm like, okay, he's like aiming.
I'm like tracking hit points on this motherfucker. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So at one point, I think we were like legit playing the game with that in mind.
Yeah.
Like trying to get rid of the giant so he didn't throw any more boulders, because that was the worst.
Yes.
Like the ballistas are bad, but that fucking boulder was devastating.
Yeah, and I like the way it was balanced that he doesn't basically attack until you make it halfway through, because then he has line of sight. And I was thinking about even holding off on the water elemental until, because I was really going to show summon it to the ship once the ship made it to that point. Then I'm like, they're fucking up the cliffs, and like I just tease the fact that obviously the giant's aware of attacks going on. Like the giant's not gonna wait. Like he's gonna do that as his first action. So instead, I summon, which I looked at, like, oh, it's just within 90 feet. So I got some of the water elemental on the cliff,
right,
and actually go from there. Which those things are surprisingly very powerful. And that was the only bummer. Is like, oh man, I hardly knocking Sabra off was actually a big deal. That kind of fucked her up for a bit.
It did, yeah.
But I didn't get to really use it. Although I guess it absorbed
that,
a shit ton of hits from you because it was
it absorbed hits and also absorbed some more resources. Like I used 2 different runes on it. I used the fire rune, which didn't work, and then I used the storm rune to
this is the Dreeper, the Dreamy Stupor.
Stupor, So again, we didn't take much damage, but we utilized a lot of resources to handle the situation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. You guys, now that I'm looking at it, you took a little bit more than I thought. Like, Toril did take, like, whatever, almost 30 damage at the end. Sabra made it to half, and Mac made it to, like, I don't know, 30% or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this was meant to be just a big kind of combat-y scenario with a unique situation. And once again, shout out to Refus for an awesome full-color battle map that actually... Gosh, I'm so happy we have this map because we ended up actually seeing and using quite a fucking bit of it.
Yeah. What was this like in the book? Like as written? Like was it just like theater of the mind or?
Well, no, there's a map, but it's all just like black and white hash mark kind of a style, and it's like half the size. So it's like you can't even really fit a ship anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. Like there's literally only like 20-foot gap between the 2 cliffs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Whereas here there's a 40-foot gap. So yeah, it's like twice.
At its narrowest point, it's like 40 foot. You're right.
Yeah. So this is a vast improvement, and I'm just super stoked we got to use it because we ended up using like literally
used it a lot.
Almost every part. The only part we didn't use was I mentioned there's a tower in this left side, which is like the giant's lair.
Okay.
Which there's technically some loot in there as well. You guys keep getting screwed on the loot because I keep creating situations that are like, you got to get the fuck out. Like, this is like the 3rd situation where it's like, all right, we kind of beat the area, but we just got to get out of here. Like, we can't actually stay and loot. You were able to loot the last one that kind of gave you that situation. And this one, you created a situation where you can get some of the loot via the polymorphed giant.
Right. Yes, we brought him onto the ship.
Brought him onto the ship, which is delightful.
I mean, how did you envision us getting the tower? Like just crossing the bridge, or?
I mean, it's a huge challenge because it's just your whole goal is just to get the ship out here, and I was not going to be able to have you anchor your ship here. It was just going to be too dangerous, so it would have been a huge undertaking to try to get over there. Yeah. Although, if anybody can make, like Mac, I'm shocked you made it as far as you did on the eastern side. So if you had just randomly gone to the west side, I guess. Then you probably would have made it over there to loot the inside and stuff, but
which I think was our decision from like 2 sessions ago to go on the right side.
Yeah,
when we were first approaching this area,
right?
Or it was a session ago, I suppose.
Yeah, and this ended up being such a big fight, but I was like, I really want to get through this. Area and not drag this fight. So I was trying to be cognizant of the time, but it was taking a while for sure. But that's why I was slowly like dropping off enemies and just going through the initiative order and be like, man, this is going late.
I mean, okay, so I don't think at this point, DM, you can be mad about us using your specially crafted magic item on our NPC because we got so much fucking mileage out of that magic item.
You know what?
It's doing work.
I was salty about it, but Borges is such a fan favorite, and the fact that he was in combat using the item, sure, it makes me happy. That it's being it's a funny
3 people off a cliff. I think he pulled some people off.
He did. Cliffs. Yeah. That one guy at the very end, which is in sports terms they call it garbage time, which is like, oh, we're like 30 points ahead, but we scored a touchdown. Who cares? So, but the earlier one we pulled the ogre off was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Makes for some good times.
Yeah.
Right.
We were cheering for Borges at the end.
That's right.
You know what? It's very rare. It's like once per campaign. I try to throw obviously several NPC allies at you guys. and most of them are not liked very much for various reasons. And Borges is the ballista. Like he just he's the one that made it in. Not
Which,
even.
I think if you compared them all, you could probably find some common traits between them. The sort of like simple but straightforward, but also kind of like nice and want to help kind of characters.
Yeah, eager to help, simple, not too annoying. But in Borges' turn, it's specifically like his hilarious combat prowess has come in handy. Yeah.
Yeah, somehow like comparing him to like Kish, it's like somehow like Borges is amazing, and Kish is like, fuck off, dude.
I think we were kind of annoyed about Borges at first, right? The voice.
I think so, yeah. And then he ended up like really helping you. I think in that one situation in the
I went down or something.
And he helped defend you and basically kind of saved your life while the other crew got up there. And that was like the one thing I was like, oh man, that's such a funny thing. But then we just kept on using him and using him and using him.
Yeah.
I think I remember now. It was a technicality of some sort, right? I think you said he went down. But he didn't die.
Maybe I rolled death saves or something for him. Yeah. Because I think he did go down later in that fight.
He did go down. But I forgot. Oh, man, I don't remember the wording now. He didn't just die like NPCs does. I think you said...
He's unconscious or something.
Unconscious or something. And I was like, oh. And that's
heal
what
him.
prompted me to save him, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the... What is that? Oh, God. Is it the Japanese concept of like if you save someone's life, you're now beholden to them. Some kind of concept like that.
Yeah.
It's like, we saved his life, so now he's like one of us. So
I may do that going forward then with ally NPCs that are like meaningful in that way, and be like, oh, they should roll death saves like everybody else, and maybe that gives the party an incentive to try to save them.
Yeah.
So that's
I think the common factor is just that it's the NPC you least expect. As a DM, you make an NPC, you least expect them to be of importance.
Well, Jason brought up a good point in the chat where the party likes NPCs that don't challenge them at all. So it's an NPC that doesn't throw their weight around or give them any guff or anything like that. Like just somebody who's kind of eager and friendly and earnest, I think. All those are traits that you like in an ally.
yeah, that tracks.
So I'll remember that going forward when it comes to allies. There needs to be at least one.
There can also be only be one. I feel like if you introduce two that simultaneously that were like that, we would end up having to choose.
You'd have to choose one because there can only be one, guys. Sorry, there only be one favorite. You're gonna have to fight each other in a knife fight, and then
that's right.
The upcoming situation, I definitely wanted to give you guys a chance to get a breather, definitely get a short rest in, and then figure out how to approach this next area, which also is kind of a unique environmental situation, which unfortunately weren't able to talk about at all because we gotten so late, because I always like to set up the next situation and give you guys, I guess I did kind of talk about a little bit at the very end, but I expected to have to go through a lot of how this upcoming situation works and what your options are at the start of the next session, because this one just ran super late. Although, frankly, we're going to have to spend a lot of next session dealing with this fucking chicken giant situation first and foremost. That's what's going to happen.
I will say that, but you did say we did a lot of damage to the giant before.
You did, and Heather was mentioning, that's like, oh, well, if we pop him out of chicken form, I'm going to try to parlay with him. I'm like, yeah, actually, probably would. If he's surrounded by... if he's on the enemy ship and surrounded by all his enemies, he's also wounded, then I probably would not immediately roll initiative. I will say that.
Can we tie up a chicken before he unpolymorphs?
Yeah, but then I don't think.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, but then does the ropes expand with him? Probably not. Yeah, it probably ends up being tied to his beard or something when he re-expands. Right. So I don't think it works in that way. But I'm willing to hear out any situations or things going on. Would be curious going forward, and frankly it would be very helpful to have somebody to interrogate for your upcoming situation as well. I bet you guys are probably thinking about the loot, but it's actually incredibly useful to have intel. about
Dude,
the next
any of us speak giant?
Well, he was talking common to you guys.
But he was
but yeah, you could speak giant to him. Yeah, pretty epic scenario. Yeah. So hopefully we'll be, and I realized we just came off of a big fight that also lasted like 2 sessions, which was the big pirate ship fight. And then this fight kind of lasted, we had a little bit of an in-between area with the previous session wasn't all fight. In fact, it was like 80% exploration leveling up, but I feel like we've done a lot of fighting back to back to back, so I'm hoping this next scenario, maybe you guys can be creative about it, I guess I'll say that. Fighting is always on the table, obviously, always an option. The game is all about fighting, but I know as a DM we've done a lot of fighting lately.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say about that. Anything else about this session?
It was a fun one. I had fun with it. Like I had fun with the like strategy map portion of it. Like, you know, sometimes you're playing like the role playing aspect of it, and sometimes it's like a strategic map where it's like, okay, here's your parameters. Now play a tactical board game, and I feel like this was kind of more like that. And I thought we had a good time with it.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a lot of pressure and trying to navigate it.
Definitely trying to take advantage of the fact that it's a ship campaign, right? It's a nautical campaign, and trying to create, you know, we've done some traditional dungeon crawling, but especially these last like 4 sessions or something have been just real ship ass shit going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Which won't always be the case, like, but yeah, this especially has been very. I think it's been hitting the theme pretty nicely, even though it's been a lot of combat.
Yeah.
But fun combat, which is good.
Yeah.
All right, it is very, very late, so I think we're going to call this Chat from the Deep to a close. Thank you to Chris and Raymond. Thank you to the wonderful fans for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.